first story that interested me this week was one about Chelsea Manning. The headline is Chelsea Manning says she is never backing down in the face of U.S. detention meant to break her. 2 days after the UN Special Reporter on Torture, Nils Melzer, published a letter he sent to the U.S. government urging her release from the federal prison, whistleblower Chelsea Manning issued a response welcoming the support and promising to stay resolute in the face of her prolonged detention. She's been in prolonged detention before. This isn't anything new. If you have any kind of inkling of who Chelsea Manning is, she for sure can hold her own. So she said, quote, "My long-standing objection to the immoral practice of throwing people in jail without charge or trial for the sole purpose of forcing them to testify before a secret government-run investigative panel remains strong." Woo! That's a good statement. So I'm going to dive into that for just a minute. The immoral practice, I would say unethical, but immoral works too, of throwing people in jail without charge or trial. Don't forget, we're not going to do that. We're just going to pass the law, and then we're not going to do it. Shut up. When Obama passed that NDAA into law, we knew at the time that it was going to get used, and it was going to get used a lot. But so she's in there without charge or trial for the sole purpose of forcing her to testify before a secret government-run investigation panel. Yeah, that'll be fair. Yeah, secret trials always go well. They always, they're fair. They're fair. Of course they're not fair. Of course she should not be playing in this Mickey Mouse bull crap that they're calling a trial, which is going to find whatever they want to find if it's secret. So anyway, Manning was imprisoned on March 8th, 2019 for refusing to take part in a grand jury investigation on WikiLeaks and the group leader, Julian Assange. Manning and her supporters have alleged that the real purpose of her testimony would be to set perjury traps that could eventually land the former Army private in prison. Not a shock. That's what government's just trying to put a cage on her. And for that matter, Julian Assange. As Common Dreams reported, Melzer's letter expressed the reporter's serious concerns at the reported use of coercive measures against Miss Manning, particularly given the history of her previous conviction and ill treatment in detention. But they're not. They're just good guys in jail. Yeah, they're not going to beat her until she's in submission. They're not going to do all that. And requested more information on Manning's detention. Quote, "I recommend that Miss Manning's current deprivation of liberty be promptly reviewed in the light of the United States' internal human rights obligations." Human rights obligations, which they ignore. You know, this illusion that government can somehow protect anything is just absolute bullcrap. You might as well flush that straight down the toilet. Melzer wrote, "Should my assessment regarding its purely coercive purpose be accurate, I recommend that Miss Manning be released without further delay and that any fines disproportionate to the gravity of any offense she may have committed be canceled or reimbursed." They because she refuses to talk and say anything that would incriminate herself or Julian Assange. She is absolutely refusing to talk, and so they're fining her for every day she's in there. So even if they do release her, they'll throw her right back in for not paying the $4 million or whatever for her fines. Manning's attorney, Moira Meltzer Cohen, in a statement, said that Meltzer letter made clear that Manning's detention is a violation of international norms and for the sole purpose of torturing a whistleblower. Remember when Obama said, "Oh, I am for the whistleblowers," and then started throwing them in prison? Yeah, that's one of these situations. Aren't you glad that you got an outsider in there now with Donald Trump? Because he sure is just keeping on doing the same shit that all the other psychopaths are doing. In any case, Meltzer Cohen added, there can be no further doubt that Miss Manning has the courage of her convictions and will never agree to testify before a grand jury, even at great personal cost. I mean, what are they going to do to her at this point? They've thrown her in jail. Nobody, what's she going to get? A job at Arby's? Come on. I know what she can do. She can just go work telemarketing. That's a good job for you. She is never going to be able to be employed because they have destroyed her entire life, as government is wont to do with its enemies. Manning echoed the sentiment in her statement. Quote, even knowing I am very likely to stay in jail for an even longer time, said Manning, I am never backing down. I'll tell you what, she is a brave person. I don't know. I just being honest, I like to think that I'm a strong person, but I do not know if I could do what she's done. Her story needs to continue to be being reported. I realize that they're going to shadow ban the crap out of everybody who talks about it, and I don't really care because I'm just putting this information out there. It's on record. I have stated my opinion, and hopefully somebody gets it and appreciates it. And every second that we can devote to her getting out of trouble for doing nothing wrong. Same with Assange, which I'm about to get into, but same with Assange. He did nothing wrong. So, on to Assange. Sky News and others have reported that Assange was offered freedom if he would just say that the Russians had nothing to do with his leaked information that he leaked about the DNC and what have you, that point to corruption at the DNC. That is not only flawed reporting, but indicates that we should be awaiting his release at any moment, because he's already done that. He has already said, and it is all bullcrap, it wasn't Russia wasn't paying me, that's all bull. And then I want you to take notice also, this is Trump going after Assange and trying to get him to say that Russia didn't have to do with anything with the DNC. Notice that. These two parties work side by side to screw you over. Again, this is just the mainstream trying to strip public support from Assange. They're trying every way they can. And I've seen people that have said, he must have made a deal. No, he didn't make no damn deal. They're doing everything they can to discredit him so that people like me and you will stop supporting him. So that they can do with him what they want to do with him and Chelsea Manning and throw them into a vat or kill them. Just like they want to do with Snowden, just like they want to do with anybody who stands up to them. The only thing stopping them from just destroying anyone is they don't think they can get away with it. Which that should tell you something. Good. They can't get away with it. We are getting stronger and stronger by the minute. And by we, I mean people of free minds. We're getting stronger. So let me be clear. It is not that I particularly support any individual or don't. I support free speech. Even speech I disagree with. I'm not saying that everything that somebody says, whether it's Assange or somebody else, I support everything they say, or Chelsea Manning or anybody like that, but they have the right to say it. They should be able to, in a free society, say whatever they want, and especially if they're a journalist. They should be able to put what information they can, and if you disprove it, make them apologize. Smack them a bunch of times, just like when ABC was lying about, bombs going off from the in Syria when it turned out to be Kentucky. This is all the same kind of thing. We're supposed to believe them when they have been proven to lie over and over and over again. But people like me, we don't know what we're talking about. So that being said, only crime Assange is guilty of is telling the truth. And they need to release him, and they need to release him now. Sky News' coverage is down below. Meanwhile, they cover up another story about Assange. Apparently, Trump just appointed his as acting director of national intelligence, the former ambassador to Germany, Richard Grenell, who was the man responsible for the deal in Ecuador to give up Assange. But you'll hear Trump supporters, he would, during the election, because he's trying to get Ron Paul supporters to support him, Trump's like, yeah, Assange should be free, and da-la-la-la-la, and I'm going to lie over again. So anyway, now he's hired the guy responsible for making the deal to give up Assange in Ecuador as his director of national intelligence. That makes me feel comfortable. As Felicia, by the way, that's what I call my personal NSA agent. I work for Adam Kokesh, so I'm certain that I have a personal NSA agent. His name is Felicia, and right now he's got one of my shirts. I sent myself a shirt in the mail, and it should have been here. I live in Indiana. It was in Kentucky on Saturday. It's currently Tuesday evening. It should have already made it to my house, but right now Felicia's got my shirt on. He's tucked his cock behind his legs. He's pretending he's a woman in my shirt. Hi, Felicia. Fuck you. So anyway, that's what's going on. Is they're just putting pressure on people that are telling the truth because they live in a land of lies, and it is time for that to end.